Hello, film fans. Welcome to the Film vs. Film podcast. My name is Martin Harries, your host, and I'm joined by the film encyclopedia man, Boaz Dix. We are a couple of filmmakers on occasion, but mainly can't stop yapping about movies. On this podcast, every episode we pick a topic from a film that's coming out at the cinema or on VOD. Myself and Boaz pick our favourite film from that topic, or team up against a guest and battle it out to decide which film will become the greatest film of all time. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. Please enjoy part 1. This episode, as Renfield is out on the big screen, and no, we're not talking Super Mario Brothers movie, 'cause that looks kind of crappy.
We could have done a Jack Black day.
Maybe. Yeah, he's good. He was in the latest episode of The Mandalorian as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, Renfield is out with Nicholas Hoult as Renfield and Nick Cage as Dracula. And Aquafina is in there. So yeah, it looks a lot of fun. So we're doing horror comedies this episode. And of course, I'm joined by the horniest, grooviest person I know, Boaz Dix. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good.
All good?
Mm.
Good. So Renfield then, what do you make of this one?
I think the trailers look really good, actually.
Yeah, I think, Nicholas Hoult is showing like his comedy chops here, which is really interesting. And then you've got Nick Cage just hamming it up, as Dracula.
I mean, Nick Hoult has comedy chops. I mean, he used to do a lot of comedies when he was a child,
Was it Warmest Bodies he was in?
Oh, yeah, where he was a zombie, Warm Bodies. I've not watched that.
Zombie rom-com.
Yeah.
So he has done a few like horror comedies in the past, I guess. And he's just a tremendous actor as well. I do love him in Mad Max Fury Road as Nux. He's great in that. But this definitely feels like
What a day. What a lovely, lovely day.
a horror action comedy as well, which I didn't expect before the trailers dropped. It'd be interesting to see how much like Nick Cage are actually going to see, because he's actually been quoted in saying that he's actually not in the film that much, which kind of sucks, but pardon pun.
It'd be weird if they've just shown everything of him in it and the rest is just Renfield.
It feels like they have, to be honest.
Yeah.
Which would be disappointing. But yeah, it looks cool, actually. I feel like it's been a while since there's been a very good horror comedy. So yeah, looking forward to that one. So, Boaz, what is your choice for horror comedies?
So mine is Army of Darkness.
Cool, as I didn't let you pick Eight-Legged Freaks. I was like, really? That's really bad. What are you talking about?
Why not? I was being genuine, but it was the reaction of like, really? And then I was like, okay, fair enough. I'm not going to win with that. But like one of those films where you like and it seems the world doesn't like. I actually do like that movie. So, yeah.
Well, I do actually remember at school once, at secondary school, like, I think it was, I don't know, some sort of free day, and we had a choice between watching Signs and Eight-Legged Freaks. And I had already seen Signs, and so I chose to watch Eight-Legged Freaks. And I guess at the time I was like, yeah, this is awesome. But obviously now I've like, yeah, this sucks.
Well, I would like to see it with clear glasses, because I haven't seen it since I was like 10 or something, or 12. I haven't seen it in a very long time. But yeah, it's probably for the best.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So what made you go for Army of Darkness then?
I literally just Googled horror comedies, and I was just looking through a list. And then I saw Army of Darkness, and I was like, hey, shit, we've done Evil Dead 2. I've always been meaning to watch Army of Darkness. I mean, I've seen This Is My Boomstick and all that other stuff, and Groovy, so many times. I've heard quotes and seen people take the piss out. So I was like,
Groovy.
Yeah. And, we've watched some Sam Raimi films here. So I was like, yeah, well, I'll watch this one. I got to watch the first Evil Dead as well, because I haven't watched that. So with this, it would be 2 and 3.
I think with the first Evil Dead film, it's very like a straight up horror film with a little bit of comedy in there. Whereas the second two are, I would say, the definition of horror comedies. So what happens in Army of Darkness, Boaz?
So, Army of Darkness is it's the sequel to Evil Dead 2, and at the end of Evil Dead 2, he beat the Deadites and went through a portal. So in Army of Darkness, it carries on straight after that, and the portal leads to like medieval England or something. So yeah, so it's like 13th century,
14th century.
Was it 14th or 13th?
Something like that. Medieval times.
It was medieval times, yeah. And so he lands there. That whole land is being plagued by Deadites. Deadites have, traveled back in time. He wants to go home, but the king there he captures Ash, thinking he's a rebel, brings him to the castle to be executed. Ash escapes, gets his trusty chainsaw hand and shotgun, and then goes on an epic journey to retrieve the Necronomicon and go back home. While he's doing that, the army of the dead are being led by a evil Deadite version of Ash.
I find it quite funny in the cast list. It just says Bad Ash.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It doesn't have a fancy name. It's just Bad Ash. Even though his makeup and his costume is so elaborate, it looks amazing. But yeah, his name is Bad Ash.
Bad Ash. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like this one. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, I don't think. I think my favorite still is Evil Dead 2. I mean, it's just such a good time. Like, it's really funny. It's a little scary at times. A lot of great horror stuff. And the skeletons, I loved.
Yeah, they are good.
What do you make of this one, then?
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. Yeah, I probably prefer the second one as well, but I thought it was good fun. It was it's one of those things as well, because I was surprised by how long it was. Like, it's like just an hour and something. It's not very long, like an hour and 20 minutes. It's like it's a short movie. It feels like it. It's straight to the point. Just gets it over with. But it does feel like it could be like part of like not a movie, but like an anthology series or whatever. It could be like a horror series or whatever. Yeah. Like, I think it would have. I did like it, but I think it felt less filmy than the second one. I think this one feels like it can be in a TV show.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
yeah.
We couldn't get more different from Army of Darkness to Evil Dead 2. Certainly in its setting, obviously. It's just like, what should we do for the next one? I know. Let's set it in medieval times. What?
Yeah. I think did they keep doing that? Because they could have just kept doing that. Like just have 4 set in space, 5 set in, Jurassic, the Jurassic time, 6 set in, I think they should have just done that.
Could do, yeah. Why not?
6 cowboys,
Yeah, and somehow shoehorn in the long POV shots somewhere in all of them.
Yeah.
With dinosaurs in the background.
Yeah, that would be cool, yeah.
So, directing then, the opening scenes are full of like camera movements which you would expect from a Sam Raimi film. Even with like the smaller moments when the king points to someone to kick Ash down the pit. Raimi does like a fast push-in with a twist. Like, he makes small actions seem really kinetic, and I love it when the king fires a crossbow at a runner, and of course you have a POV shot of the arrow flying, but you also have like a shot of that arrow flying at an angle while it's flying at the guy. And it reminded me a lot of like animated films would do that with an arrow or bullets. I feel like Sam Raimi is trying to push convention with the camera all the time, especially in his action scenes. So yeah, that bit in particular did kind of remind me a bit of an animated film where they, as the arrow is flying, you have like animated lines kind of thing in the background.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like, even though it's following the arrow, it just doesn't look like it's just attached. It like the background even looks kind of like weird. Yeah. So it is like it's all drawn or something or whatever. Yeah, that was cool. They do that quite a few times, but I think they do it like not too much and not too frequent that it gets boring. But it's really good when they do that. So there's one bit, I think it does that with the spear while he's trying. Somebody's trying to jab him, and the camera like is like the spear as it's going like that.
Yeah,
and that was pretty damn cool.
Yeah, so many point of view shots of random stuff in this.
Objects, and things like that.
Of weapons, yeah.
I really liked when he opened the wrong Necronomicon and there was like a black hole. He's going in, and then you've got like a POV from the inside of the black hole. That was really cool, and he's like elongating through there. That was pretty awesome.
A stretched face there as well. That would hurt himself a lot there. I love the pit scene near the start where there's just a great mix of horror and comedy. There's a great tease at the start of the scene where like a hand slowly emerges out of the water saying like, "Come to me, Ash." You know, the jump scare is great where the witch jumps out, and it definitely made me jump, that's for sure. Then immediately followed by comedy where she's just punching Ash in the face repeatedly. Then does like a load of front flips, and you're like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah, like she became a ninja. Yeah.
Then the other scare is brilliant and quite a shock where like a moss troll thing comes out of the wall and attacks Ash. When Ash gets his chainsaw back is a funny, triumphant moment too. So I really love that pit scene, actually. I thought it basically encapsulated this whole genre of horror comedy.
Yeah, no, I love that. I thought it was great. What was another thing? I liked how they sort of blended out the proper horror with like the comedy later. Because when they throw the first guy in the fucking hole, you know, there's like a huge pause and then sprays of blood, like just tons and tons of blood.
It must have been a fire truck or a water hose.
Yeah, I don't know why she didn't do that to Ash. You know what I mean? If she can like fucking, you know, yeah, she'd rather just beat the crap out of him.
Maybe it's just a different creature. He had his feed, so I'm like, you know, I don't need to eat anymore.
Yeah. Throw in the B team and stuff.
Yeah, so I'm gonna sleep now for a bit. You can have the next one, you lot. The Lost Guy and the Witch.
Yeah,
it's your turn. The big evil POV shots come back in this film where Ash is on a horse being chased by the evil. You know, Rami steps it up a bit by like splitting trees this time as it goes. Oh, yeah. Again, the camera operator and Bruce Campbell bring like incredible energy to it, especially when he's like running down a little hill when he's kind of rolling. He just brings so much energy using his whole body, and he's just giving it everything. But what I quite liked was your standard wide shot when he's running towards the windmill. That was funny. It's just there, just a wide shot, a normal wide shot. It just takes all the energy out of it, making it funny. I thought that was great.
Yeah, that was good.
I think some of the funniest stuff in this film is from like the skeleton deadites near the end. When the skeletons approach the castle, one of them is playing a bone flute, like skeletons playing skulls as drums. Then there's Scottish skeletons playing bagpipes. And you know they're Scottish, as they have big ginger beards and baggy green hats. That was absolutely hilarious to me. I did laugh out loud when I saw that. I feel like we have covered quite a few films now which take the piss out of Scotland. I don't know what we're subconsciously trying to say. But...
England's better.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I think the last battle scene in the movie is, on the whole, really fun, and I think like the puppetry work is really good, but there's moments where skeletons get blown up or decapitated, and they're just lifeless before they get destroyed. It's not like that happens a few times. It happens a lot, which is a bit disappointing. Also, they're just guys in suits with skeletons painted on them, which is quite distracting. And at first I thought they were different creatures, but no, when you get a good look at them, they're definitely supposed to be skeletons as well. But the steampunk car was really cool, and the final sword fight I thought was really good and in keeping with the tone of the film too and the style. So yeah, it's just like the guys in skeleton suits, which was just like... You could have just made them different creatures. So.
Yeah.
I feel like they would kind of just like filler roles. And if they couldn't do it with a puppet, the actions with a puppet, they got a guy in a suit, you know? Yeah. So that was a bit disappointing.
The design of Evil Ash, that was great. I like that bit where his jaw kept falling off.
Yeah. That was literally what I was going to say. Yeah. That was funny. What's your favourite shot or scene then?
It's where the geyser of blood comes out of the hole.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, that was kind of the first sign of like proper horror in this film, I would say.
Yeah.
Because I think the first kind of really cool great moment is when memorable moment is when he comes through the portal and Ash gets surrounded by all these, knights with swords, and there's just a load in the background fighting his car. It's like, what type of armor is this? That was very Monty Python. I was like, that was funny. And then that bit that you mentioned, that's kind of the first proper horror moment, I would say.
Yeah.
Going in. There's so much like packed into this film that I felt was just extraordinary, really, in such a short film. Rami is really just pushing the boat out of like cramming so much into a very simple story. But I would say my favorite shot is I love the shot where he uses his shotgun for the first time after he comes out of the pit and shoots a demon back down the pit, and Rami does a big push in on Ash while he's twirling his shotgun around his finger, holsters it, steps forward a few paces, and the camera goes right into his face and says, "Now let's talk about how I get back home." I thought, yeah, this is where the film starts, people, for properly. My score for directing then would be fairly high, I would say. I guess the negatives are just some of the effects do look a bit dodgy now, and also I just feel like it was a mistake with the guys in the skeleton suits. So they could have just made them different characters. But and some of the editing as well with the explosions and stuff when they're destroying the skeletons was... You can see the edges, of the filmmaking process when you see it. So I will go like an 8.2.
Okay. Yeah, no, I actually see a lot of your points there. Yeah, I might go an 8.
Straight 8?
I'm thinking that or a 7.9, but I'll go an 8.
Screenplay, then. This film is obviously very different from the other Evil Dead films in the trilogy. It's set in the medieval times, and the film has a similar basic structure of a historical epic added with time travel. As the hero just wants to go home to his time, he'll get the book back and intends to leave them behind, but has a change of heart and helps the people fight the Deadites. But when Ash goes off on his own, it basically becomes a proper Evil Dead film, one that we recognize with the amazing long POV shots. But I didn't like the Governor's Travels scene where there's loads of like little Ashes running around. Like, the effects weren't great with that, and it was very clear that the depth of field just didn't really work, and it felt too cartoonish, like you were watching a Tom and Jerry cartoon. But when one of the little Ashes goes inside him and you see an eye coming out of his shoulder, that was cool. And he's basically got 2 heads in one body. That was great. Yeah. But tonally, I thought it went a bit too far with the little Ashes, and I just felt like there could have been a better creative idea that's more in keeping with the two tones here, the historical epic and the Evil Dead horror comedy. Yeah, it just didn't quite work for me. I'm guessing you quite like that.
Yeah, I thought it was quite funny.
All right.
Yeah, no, I didn't have too much of a problem with it. I will agree it didn't look like the best, and you could tell. But no, I thought it was funny, especially like when they jump into his mouth, because I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? And then he tries to boil it, and then
that was one of the better moments, I guess, in that scene.
Yeah.
I think one scene which did look just ridiculous was just actually not related to him being small, but like they spill liquid on the floor and he's like running in one spot and then flips onto his hands, and like you can clearly see he's like attached to like a pole behind him at the hip, so he just switches upside down really quick. I just like, really, this is like a cartoon right now.
Yeah, especially how he got a skillet to like take his face off the side of the wood burner.
Oh yeah, didn't leave much of a mark there, but sure.
Should be nothing left of his face.
But yeah, you can clearly see like a lot of the little ones are kind of just right on the edge of the frame, right on the front, and it just wasn't composited very well. And there's a bit where he's like, all the little ones are trying to like open up his mouth or something, and it just doesn't look right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just feel like they could have done something a bit different. Yeah, the story is very simple, which I really liked, and I love the fact that they commit so much time to the last battle scene, which is pretty much half an hour long in a 90-minute film. Like the simple story just allows you to have fun with it without plot getting in the way. But there is the little question of whether, like, Henry the Red and his army is going to arrive to help them, and they only arrive just before Bad Ash gets blown up. But I did like that moment when Arthur's men and Henry the Red's men square off, and at the end they end up hugging. That was kind of a camp and funny moment for me. That was cool.
Yeah, I thought that was good.
Certainly, like, you know, Sam Raimi just allows himself so much room with having a real simple story. Just packs so much awesome stuff in that last battle scene.
Yeah. So. No, I liked a lot of the twisted turns. I think, like, Bruce Campbell's Ash is fucking hilarious, and the stuff that he says. Yeah, it's just really funny. It just kind of reminds me of, like, if, like, one of those stereotypical, like, idiot jocks from a movie, you know, like the bully from, like, a high school movie.
Is the hero, yeah.
Yeah, was the hero, yeah. It's like if Biff from Back to the Future had a go at being a hero or something. Yeah, it just reminds me of that. And he still just plays that to perfection. Like, you know, even when he redeems himself, he's not, like, the sharpest tool in the shed.
No. Well, he seems very intelligent. He makes himself a robot arm, and
yeah, I know. Yeah,
builds a steampunk car.
Yeah. And I thought it was funny, like, when he equips them with, like, modern weaponry with rockets and shit like that, and is doing up the car, and, like, just in the boot there happens to have been, like, a chemistry book and a science book and stuff. So I think that works because, you know, he's way too stupid to come up with any of this on his own.
I think tonally it just works with that stuff, though. I think tonally it's goofy enough that you give all that kind of stuff a pass.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's goofy right from the get-go, so that's fine. I think it's only if you're, like, serious for the first half, then you're goofy. It just doesn't work. And yes, many of his lines, "This is my boomstick." I love that. I love, like, the romance between, like, quote-unquote, the romance between him and that girl is so funny. Where she just, you know, she just has the hots for him when he, you know, saved them or whatever, and he's gonna, you know, and what was it at the barn, and she's like, you know, complaining that he's going, and then he's just, I think the only thing he says is, like, "Give me some sugar," or something like that.
Yeah, give me some sugar, baby.
Yeah.
And that's basically their relationship. So.
Yeah, like, seriously, the plot just feels like Ash has knocked his head, and this is, like, how everybody should see him, as, like, an amazing Wonder Man who could do no wrong, you know?
Yeah, I mean, certainly the romance stuff is all played for laughs. And
Yeah. It's not serious. And I like, what was it? Oh, yeah. Like, what causes the problem? Because, you know, it's a classic hero's tale sort of thing. But he gets the Necronomicon, like, halfway through the film. You know, it's all done and stuff. But I like, because he said he's meant to read the words, like mystical words, before he takes it, and he can't remember the last word. Yeah, I like that. I always find that funny. Where he's like,
and he just coughs over it.
Yeah, and then that leads to the Army of the Dead.
It's interesting with this film, when certainly tonally, of just marrying up these tones of this historical epic, because there definitely is, like, a Monty Python vibe and the Holy Grail going on here with a lot of the other characters, and obviously it's supposed to be an Evil Dead film as well, and kind of this historical epic, so comedy. I mean, do you think, like, I don't think it was that shoehorned in, really, the Evil Dead stuff with the long POV shots, and, you know, he is in a windmill on his own, and you have all the little ashes. That was all very pure Evil Dead, and yeah, I think it fitted quite well. It's just, I just would have preferred something a bit different, but obviously you don't want to keep doing the same thing from the first two films, especially Evil Dead 2, where, like, everything comes alive. So I get where he was trying to be different with that, but I mean, do you think this film could have gotten away with it without having those typical, like, Evil Dead touches in here? Because I reckon it probably could work.
I think it could have done, yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that.
I mean, the only real difference with those long POV shots is the fact that, like, it's splitting wood and he's on a horse. That's it. And then you obviously have that brilliant wide shot that's not in there, which is done for a great comic effect. But yeah, I still wouldn't say it's shoehorned in either. But I think a lot of the rest of the film is so strong that you probably could have not had it there anyway. So it's a real balancing act, I guess, for Sam Raimi there. But so I think on the whole, I think it works really well in terms of the balancing all these tones.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Some funny lines like near the start. Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants. I got news for you, pal. You ain't leading but two things right now, Jack and shit. And Jack has left town. That was funny.
Yeah, that was funny.
I love the bit when he gets out of the pit and there's a long pause and he says, "Your shoelace is untied." Looks down and punches him. That was great.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yo, she bitch, let's go.
Yeah. You found me beautiful once. Baby, you got real ugly.
Yeah, that was great, yeah. Little goody two shoes, little goody two shoes. From the bad Ash.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I ain't that good. Yeah. Yeah, and I like when he's burying him, he's like, "You got something on your face." He's like, "What?" And he starts throwing dirt on it.
Yeah, God. Oh, bloody hell. I mean, Bruce Campbell must be up for pretty much everything. I mean, the fact that it looks like he's got dirt in his mouth there, I'm like, Jesus Christ. That's insane.
Yeah, and also I like that he does portray evil Ash like completely differently. Like he's he's more like the Joker or something.
I love the skeletons in this as well. Their lines. One of them says, "Let's get the hell out of here." "You're going down. I'm going up." "You're pissing me off, you ugly son of a bitch." From Bad Ash. "I got a bone to pick with you." A lot of bone puns. I think my favorite bone pun is actually like kind of an off-camera thing when Evil Sheila is revealed. One of the skeletons, apparently from Yorkshire, says, "There's a sight for sore bones." That was so funny.
Back to, what was it? One thing that I thought was funny with directing is when he chopped that Deadite's arm off and it jumped onto this woman's mouth or something. Where it was just like, yeah, I thought that was funny.
Yeah, I mean, there's loads of like brilliant little touches that are just so well done. Just like really quick visual comedy moments that Sam Raimi does so well. Not just with like the camera stuff, but just physical props and things.
Yeah.
Favorite line, Boaz?
Probably "This is my boomstick."
Screenplay score for me. I think on the whole, like all the tones are all married up quite well. Yeah, I think there's some debate on whether like you can maybe either tone up or tone down the typical Evil Dead stuff, but I think on the whole it works quite well. Like there's a lot of funny lines. I just love how a lot of the skeletons are written and just kind of like all their little dialogue moments.
Yeah.
When they're like, "Oh, I'm going to cut your gizzard," or whatever. These little moments of great.
Yeah.
There's so many of them. It's like, a lot of high-pitched little dialogue bits from the skeletons, which I found hilarious. I mean, Bruce Campbell, like, he's just got a lot of great, like, funny stuff in there. Very simple story. So I'll give it 7.9. Boaz, what are you going for screenplay?
Yeah, no, it was funny. I'll go 7.6.
Right, acting then. We kind of mentioned it briefly in one of our favourite lines, but I love the acting from Marcus Gilbert, who plays Lord Arthur. And Ash escapes the pit and says to Lord Arthur, "Your shoelace is untied." And Marcus Gilbert holds his head and just shifts his eyes up and down for a few moments without changing his expression before looking down. Then boom, Ash punches him in the face. And I feel like that scene wouldn't be as funny without Gilbert's brilliant eye work in his acting. I thought that was just a great little moment.
Yeah, that was so funny.
That's set up with not just the line, but with his acting. I thought that was great. Absolutely brilliant. There's a great bit of action where Ash has like a mini battle with a witch demon in the castle, and Ash does like a kick flip, shoots his gun and kicks her again, and is facing the wrong way and shoots her from
Oh yeah, that was amazing.
resting his shotgun on his shoulder.
Yeah.
But it's all done with like shaky cam, which actually worked for me really well. The way their the way it kind of captures the movement of the actors, not the most clear, but it just brings an awful lot of energy. I thought was amazing, and I could have put it in directing as well, but I put it in acting just because the moves were really cool, and the camera kind of emphasizes that action a lot, even though it is very shaky. Yeah. I know you're not the biggest fan of shaky cam. I mean, what did you make of that scene in particular?
So I did like when he did the, shoulder shot. But yeah, no, I'm not like a massive fan of shaky cam. I kind of want to know where the fuck everything is. I think because it was a really short fight scene and the coolest part, was visible. I don't really have too much of a problem. But yeah, that was cool. Towards the end, the fight scene where he's like fighting two two skeletons at the same time.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. So not only in directing, but like Bruce Campbell's actual physicality of trying to deflect two sets of swords.
Yeah, I certainly a lot of the sword fight stuff was really well choreographed. There's some really good moves there, especially at the end with Bad Ash. I don't think it's anything massively special, but again, it's kind of all in keeping with the tone of this film, making it kind of a little goofy, as well as kind of slick as well. Kind of having a little, a bit of rough edges kind of thing with that in the sword fighting, which I've found was in keeping with the tone. But I mean, Bruce Campbell, I mean, he just goes nuts in this film, really. There's a little bit where he's like, where you first kind of see the skeletons for the first time and it's just their hands. And I feel like he's basically fighting them with his face alone,
Yeah.
There's some hand stuff in there, but again, like, he's just so brilliant with his facial expressions and with all of his movement, really. It's just, he absolutely goes for it.
Yeah. I did. I liked the sort of, even though he had very little actual screen time, the acting of, is it Henry the Red or something?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I found him quite compelling. Yeah, I just like the way he kind of, even at the beginning and stuff, where it's like Arthur is saying he's a traitor and stuff, and he's like, like he's shouting back and stuff like that. I don't know. He just seemed, do you know what I mean? Like a really good actor, even though he's in such a small part. He did make an impression on me.
I mean, the lead actress, I think way better when she was evil.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Embeth Davidtz. I mean, she didn't have a great role before she turned evil, basically.
No. Oh, the Merlin guy hamming it up like he's in Shakespeare or something. I like that.
Right.
Yeah, I just like the way he did all that sort of stuff. Like, forsooth, and
Yeah, I feel like you've got to have a character like that in this type of film, really, basically telling you what needs to happen in the film for Ash to be successful in the story. But yeah, I thought he was pretty cool as well. Acting score for me, I think Bruce Campbell is more of a tour de force in Evil Dead 2 still, but he's still pretty insane in this, even with like the little Ashes. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of that scene, but still he absolutely goes for it in that. And the fact that he has to work like two roles at the end, so he's basically got to do both sides of some of the fight scenes at times. That's not easy, as well as bringing so much energy just to the normal Ash role anyway. And the whole goody two shoes thing. It's like he's got to double his energy for that, and it's just like, my God, the guy must have been absolutely exhausted by the end of this film.
But I really was impressed with his evil Ash. I think actually, especially before he became like makeup heavy.
Yeah.
Even then, he had some really good lines and stuff, but you can't even tell it's Bruce Campbell then. But before, the little fight that they have in the forest, I just love his energy. and he's just so unlike regular Ash. And I was saying this before, like he does have the energy and like the thing of like the Joker. And I think watching that, I was like, man, he could have been a great Joker. Do you know what I mean? He had
definitely.
had the chance, he would have been great.
Not like fucking Joaquin Phoenix, but there we go.
Yeah.
For another time.
Yeah, moving on.
Acting score for me, I think I will go like an 8.6. What are you going for, Mr. Encyclopedia Man?
I think I'll go an 8.2.
8.2. It's a bit harsh on Bruce Campbell, isn't it?
I don't think it's that harsh.
All right.
No, I'm going to stick with that.
All right, let's add up the scores then for Army of Darkness. And I forgot to do the favourite performance, but I think it's pretty obvious. It is Bruce Campbell for both of us.
Yeah, Bruce Campbell. I mean, there are some other good bit parts, but it's like the whole movie is on his shoulders. Oh yeah, I was actually going to say with acting, I like the bit where, after he sees that guy, and the geyser of blood thing, and he's like, whoa, 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 like he's like really kind of worried.
Oh yeah, of course you would.
And I really like that. It's like, whoa, you got the wrong guy. I don't know any of you. You know. Yeah.
Army of Darkness gets 48.3. I think this one could genuinely be quite a tight one, people.
I do think so. Yeah.
That's it for part 1. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. Check out part 2 to see who wins. But don't stop there. Get involved and tell us what your favourite films are relating to the episodes. Send us a DM or comment on Instagram and TikTok at Film vs. Film Podcast, for Twitter at FVF_podcast. If you do, we'll give you a shout out on the next episode. If you're feeling really generous, you can buy us a one-off coffee at our Buy Me a Coffee account. Remember, please leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. Pod signing off. Thank you.